So take a moment and think about what you know about your family tree. How would you feel if everything you knew was wrong? That's the reality hundreds of people across the country are dealing with after learning the truth about their family origins. Complete strangers of all races living in different cities all over the country have learned that they're related, and they've been able to trace their roots back right here to the Piedmont. I talked to several members of this family who shared their story and how they're dealing with new and some unsettling parts of their family history.
The eyes just seem to draw you in.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I saw her photo, again, 10 years ago.
This one.
This is Mamie Walden. She was my husband's great-grandmother. She's the person that started it all for me.
Was the key to uncovering hundreds of years of family history.
Something about Mamie. There was something about Mamie.
This obscure photo led Randolph County couple Lindsay and Chad Cox straight to the internet to start their journey of filling in some of the blanks in their family tree.
We were at my in-laws' house in Archdale, and we were looking at pictures, and I saw this picture, and I just thought Mamie's features just looked different to me.
Their search started as a matter of simple curiosity.
We started talking, and my mother-in-law said, oh, well, she was Cherokee, my family's descended from Cherokee, and I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. I didn't really think a lot about it, but it made me interested in learning more.
They quickly learned their family tree is much more complex than they thought.
So I just kept digging, and then my husband and I both did our DNA, recreationally ancestry, and it came back that my husband was in fact 0% Native American and about 9% African.
When you saw that 0% Native American after all these years,
stunned.
He's thinking and you're thinking, he's Cherokee. What was your reaction to that?
I was stunned.
It turns out Lindsay's husband, Chad, as well as their 3 children, are direct descendants of a man named Frank Lytle, a formerly enslaved black man.
As you're reading, you keep seeing mulatto, you keep seeing black, and you're realizing that what you thought was a very white part of your tree was not.
Frank Lytle was the oldest of 7 children born to Randolph County slave owner Thomas Lytle and an unnamed enslaved woman.
Probably of the whole story, one of the hardest things is not knowing her name. That truly is very difficult for me, because I can look at the tree and I can count the steps between my husband and my children up to Thomas, and everyone has a name except this one wonderful individual who gave birth
to all these
people that would not exist today, and we don't even know her name.
For reasons unknown, Frank was given his freedom as well as his own land in what is today the Kenwood Village area when his father and enslaver Thomas Lytle died in 1794. The rest of Frank's siblings, though, their children and any other extended family, a total of 38 people, remained enslaved for 21 more years until the death of Thomas Lytle's wife. At that time, they were sold in what is now known as the largest documented sale of enslaved people in Randolph County history.
That's the sale amount for the 38, which brings a grand total of, $6,677. But they took out the cost of the lawyers. It's sickening. I kind of did the math and divided that number by 38 people, and it comes down to like $143
per person.
Like the cost of a life. Cost of humanity.
We don't know much about what happened to Frank Lytle's siblings after they were sold from the Lytle plantation, but around 1840, after Frank starts having children of his own, we start to see a change in how his line identifies.
The siblings, as the tree goes down, are all considered black, African American. They identify as black and African American. And Frank's line, around 1850s, mid-1850s, were all considered white. Same family, all siblings, very different journeys.
Lindsay and Chad's discovery sent them down a rabbit hole, with Lindsay spending hours in libraries and online, learning as much as she can about the Lytles, all while processing the hard truths she finds.
It's a feeling of being ashamed, somewhat of not guilt, just what can I do to do better? How can I help right wrongs? How can I be truthful and not romanticize history to make me feel better or to make others feel better. To be uncomfortable and to own that and to say, this is the truth. To continue to connect with these folks in the past and right some of the wrongs as best as we can. It's impossible, right? But to give them some of their humanity back.
And connecting with other family members across the country, like they did in late 2023 at the Lytle family reunion in Randolph County.
I think there's more to find for all of us. We just need to look and not be afraid of what we find.
With each connection, this family gets another small piece of the truth, another small piece of their story. So we continue this story tonight at 6. I'll take you to Trinity, where the Lytle plantation once stood. Again, that's tonight on the Fox 8 6 o'clock news.